Where's the clock? And on the outright. So this talk is entitled You Only Log Once. And it actually came out of, it's a talk about logging, log levels, what you should log, how you should log, and how most of it was wrong. And it came out actually from an email at Geit's house when I used to work at Geit's house, which might get somebody in the audience awake. No. Which we'll come to later. And this was done at work, but it's been relocalized back for here, back to Geit's house references slightly. So you will have to avoid DCMA takedowns, you will have to imagine Nancy Sinatra singing, right? But choose wisely. You want the one on the right, because I can assure you the one on the left is not Nancy Sinatra singing. No one's tried it. So the background of this talk, right, this could end up real quick, is, well, you get an error, and then you log it, and everything's sorted, right? So that's the end. Off we go down the pub. Anyone got any questions? Whoa! So the error message you got might not be repeatable, and the error message you got might be the only message you ever get from the user. That might be your only input. So you might only get one chance to capture everything you need. So, I mean, the first thing, as the classic advice from Clotho goes, is log the error message. So this is some very old work code, which obviously still earns money, slightly hidden. And I should note that when it logs, it says the GGM user is set, but no config for the database provided. And is that actually true? Because it could be various other errors. It's making assumptions about what the error is, and it certainly didn't show you $@, so you can't verify whether your database was unpingable, you were configured, but the database is dead, or something else is wrong. So you must log the error message. The next one, I'm worried I'm going to be too fast, but I don't think anyone has a problem with that, as long as I'm just slow at talking. So log the error message. Every log message should be unique. So look, this, yeah, don't worry too much, it's C. It's the Perl source code. It's a commit, I can't remember when, but it was me. I realized that there were two places in the source code where it would log the panic restart op. And if you got that error message out, well, first of all, it should never have happened, which obviously when it happens is very interesting, but from that error message, you can't even tell which of these two locations in yellow, those are the old versions in yellow, it's a diff, which of those two versions you'd reached. So I changed the code so that it would say, for the first case, the panic is in Perl_run, and in the second case, it was somewhere deep in Perl call list. And that way, when you get that error message, you know at least which of the two places you should be looking, rather than having to roll the dice and guess wrong. Next question is, if it's going to be the only thing, how did you get there? So again, it's a diff. The old version, in this case I left the old version in white, I'm not quite consistent. It would say panic pp split. And great, what went wrong? We can see that if we got there, at least one of the variables PM or the variable S were null. But we don't know. At least in the old version of the log message, it didn't know. So I changed the log message so that it would log those two values as part of it. What's the value of PM and what's the value of S? So that %P, it's a printf format. And then the coffee machine sings. So to the user, panic pp split still means nothing. It's still the same gibberish it always was. But to us reading it, at least we know which of the two was the problem. Another how did I get here was, which impossible case was not handled? So this is C again, and it's a switch statement. It's actually scalar list and void contexts. And sensibly, there's a default in here of a thing that shouldn't have been possible. And it used to just say bad context, which is basically some number that wasn't 0 or 1 or 2, but what on earth? And I changed it so that it would log that number from the switch statement context So that if it has the value 255 or 63 or something, you will see it in the error message. The user won't make any more sense, but you will be able to at least get somewhere with the debugging of this. Ooh. Whoops. The next one is make sure you include sufficient context. So this is a genuine error message from the code at work as it was before we changed it. And it says some paid, that the paid value does not match the expected statement entry, blah, blah, blah. And, yeah, you what? You got something lost. So what it turns out is that was logging at level worn. Earlier in the code, there was some logging at level info saying, I'm trying to match product, batch number, this. And so that's what in the UART. But what happens if your log settings were such that info's gone to dev null? It's a possibility, and I've been suggesting this, that to the Kibana and so on, that we should prune our log messages at different severity levels, going back different amount of distances. It's also the case that warnings might end up being sent by email or some other ugly way, or just visible in Kibana, and info is still sitting on the machine buried. You have to go find it. So this isn't ideal, because if all you get is that last one saying there was a problem with some numbers, it's not great. So I changed the error message at level warning so that it would contain all that information. That message now effectively is self-contained. It says that for Smurf batches, all the stuff in the info message. Yeah, sure, it's longer, but now I just hit bang, one piece of information, and that's great. The next absolutely wonderful, I think I'm actually on time, was this. So we get an email list of warning, no payment found for, and some codes. Those are not the real numbers. That's an idea. But what's the damage? Like, how expensive is this problem? And to do that, like, are we talking a 4-figure sum or a 2-figure sum or what? To actually do that, you need to run a database query to find out the numbers. And you know, the most annoying part is the script had actually run that exact database query already. Same query as the script ran. So I think Richard did this one, but I thought we should do it. We now change the code so that rather than seeing that as your error message, you get this. And it tells you what the amount is, and it also tells you a database row ID, and it tells you the sum of it is £305 or 12p, which isn't terrible. Because this is what I'm coming to, there's kind of a level of panic going on. How bad is it? Panic level 0 is roughly, is it less than the amount of cash in my wallet, which at the moment appears to be 170 euros. Probably that's scared. No, mine. Mine. Yeah, if you go to Austria, do make sure you use note choice. Otherwise, if you ask for 400, you will get 100 notes. Good, isn't it? So we're here. This amount is somewhere above cash in my wallet, but it's below my credit card limit. And if it starts getting to bigger numbers, it's sort of like my annual salary, or really big numbers, it's the house. And yeah, the really bad ones are the ones Lee's been talking about. Oh, pants. Oh, I've got a speaker note. It says, also note that fixing panic level 0 costs more than just writing the amount off. Think about this. Although sometimes auditors care or the audit department cares an awful lot that the pennies match up, and there's reason for that. But in some cases, writing the thing off if it happens infrequently is cheaper than trying to code around it. So the next one that we hit is, right, debugging, the debug level logging is debugging, but turn it off. Sure, you do when you're writing your code initially, just log lots and lots and lots, but don't log it at level info, because once your system is working, all that logging is chaff. Maybe I shouldn't use that term, the bit of the wheat you don't want. And it's expensive chaff when you're starting to pay Amazon to store it in Kibana. Right, I mean, because sure, of course you're going to remove it, right? And you're going to write docs, aren't you? Yeah, no, you're not. Just turn debugging off. Which got us down to what level should you be logging at? And this is an admission of working work code. Yeah. We logged a debug that we couldn't copy a file. and it was failing, the copy was failing. That it didn't matter, but yeah, that shouldn't have been debug level. And oh, confession. I mean, yeah, look, the error message is nowhere to be seen. There's no file name in that whatever. As a code reviewer, I would have gone, those 3 lines of comment, that's completely redundant. It's just saying what I can see in the well-written code. And the last bit is, yeah, info for processing file and debug for, you don't need that level info. Which takes me actually onto, oh yeah, sorry, and we don't actually know who the culprit was. It was root at checking into CVS. It's the kind of first post commit. So this is older than 2010. And clearly has been earning money for that sort of time. So that got down to what level to log at. And actually this is where it's nicer because Guideshouse we're using log any, which uses the same as syslog. And it's one more level more granular than log for Perl, which is basically log for Java. Syslog and log any have the idea of notice, which actually made things a lot easier because those are the bottom 8 levels of logging. And oh yeah, no, Markdown doesn't have definition lists. One thing that's missing from Markdown I care about, and tables maybe, but the one thing that's really in pod. Anyway, so what level to log at? And I could actually give an answer to this. Info level, when you've got all of these, is debugging, tuning, or profiling information that we always want to collect, but we don't always want to know about it. Notice really should be, if you're going to be consistent, it felt like it should be the code recovered from a problem, but it gave the right answer. And basically, you don't care about an individual notice, but if you start getting lots of notices of the same, I could pun about noticing the notices, that's the thing to worry about. Warning is, we're not sure if we gave a wrong answer. Error is, well, the user knows they got a wrong answer. And of course, this goes on to bad hair days. Error was the user knows they got a wrong answer. Critical was lots of users are getting a wrong answer. Here's your Guideshouse version. Marcus and Heiser will know about it. That's an alert. And emergency is by reading about it on Heiser DE. If you, yeah. Yeah. Think of it like that. But you can also think of it kind of like this. Error, users are getting a wrong answer. Critical, and they will want compensation. Alert, and they're going to sue us. Emergency, and win. So the summary, I'm doing quite well, I think I'm doing. Don't assume you will be able to replicate the problem locally. Your log message might be the only time you ever get back from there. Log the error message, like the actual error message is part of your log message. Your log message should stand alone. Don't rely on anything at lower priorities than it. You should log enough in your log message to make the first stage of debugging easy. If there's always going to be a first thing that you're going to do when you see that message, do it in the message if it will fit. And your log level should be approximately proportional to the amount of buttock clenching when you see the message. And I get to a slide marked questions. Well, everyone laughed, but no one's got a question.
Not technically a question, but yeah, right. In the Perl source code, there was also a problem, a case of the split message thing. It wasn't log levels because the Perl code doesn't use log levels, but one part of the error message was a warning, and then the next part, the next line was an error, like a throwing a croak thing. So if warnings were critical, you would only get the first half of the error message.
Eek. It has an opinion. Yes, I know what it's asking. Did we put the something back? And the answer is yes. You now may have coffee again. What? Yes. So I understood it. I just when I smiled at it, I thought I know what something needs to be done.
I don't know where the log is.
No. Right. There was technically a bonus slide which no one has noticed. So you could also see this one going to 11. We had the user knows they got the wrong answer. Lots of users are getting the wrong answer. Marcus here H will know about it by reading about it. And again, on the quarterly results, 10 was polish your CV, And 11, and this is a really hypocritical one, I must admit as a speaker note, would you like fries with that? A CV won't save you. And my note is that this is totally hypocritical. Don't dump on food service workers. Yeah, they're doing a crappy job I wouldn't be good at, and I'm very glad they do. But I didn't have a better way to make the joke, unfortunately, so I feel a bit bad about that. Oh, question.
Do you recall cases where logging has been a problem? For example, once in early version of the Perl core, like 10ish or something, there was a special message, a special case when Perl tried to send a mail to the administrator.
Yeah, that was, I wouldn't say that was logging, but I know what you meant. This was, right, so Larry put some code in that if, part of the sued Perl stuff, if you were trying something cheeky, Perl would invoke the mailx command to mail a mail to root saying the user was trying to circumvent security. Mailx turned out to have an undocumented tilde escape. It had tilde escapes for subject something and something, but it had tilde escape X to execute a shell command. So the crafty user could try and invoke the error message sending thing to mail root with this thing running at root privilege and then do a shell escape as part of trying to write the mail. So yeah, that was kind of a logging related thing causing a problem, and it's the undocumented features having unintended consequences. Richard?
I'm doing a lot with emails, sending emails to people, and a lot of people complaining the emails did not reach them, and this costs the people from the public libraries, readers, that costs them money because they don't get the books back, and so they complain at the library. And I found out that I should do some logging external to my own logging in the program. It is logging in the email, in the headers of the email, putting some extra emails with debugging information where I can I save the email in the database, then I send it to the user, then the user complains I did not get the email, and I don't have any chance to find out what's going on. So I think it was a good idea to put some log line into the headers of the email, so I can watch the email system, look for the header, and in the header there's a line mail sending number 2460 to Richard Lippmann at this and this time, so I can find out what he was doing at which time, which the people usually don't know, which reader's number, which library, things like that.
Oh, right.
So I think when I heard your talk, this is a kind of external logging, which I see only when something bad happens.
Okay, I don't think I can add to that. Lee, did it pick up or not?
Maybe.
Ah. We'll fix it in post otherwise. Yeah, logging the information in the mail headers so that you can see the database number, the enough information that you could grep the mail logs to find out what was going on. Yeah, and then find your way back to your database. And the mail logs will have a timestamp so you can see how that thing propagated through the mail system. Because once it's left your program, you don't know whether there's a 4-hour delay somewhere further on, or it fell on the floor or something, and you can at least, for all the systems you control, or someone else is giving you nice access, or grepping for you, you can see how far it got. Yeah. It's kind of, right. Søren's showing me 1 minute. Ah, a question. Spoon. Löffel. Löffel mit Mikro. But I'm being my own runner here.
Yes, I'm some kind of stupid programmer. When I'm doing a logging, I use most of the time I use warnings all. And when printing the log message, the program crashes because there was an undefined value somewhere. And usually I suggest to disable warnings all maybe during the log, just as a, to say that. Yeah.
Who's back? Did you hear the question?
No, Nick didn't hear the question, but
This is an argument against very strict, using strict, very strict.
Basically, if you log an undefined value and then it crashes because your fatal warnings are set too high, that's a bad idea.
fatal warnings in production are a bad idea. I don't have time for the rant, but if you turn all warnings to fatal, then deprecation warnings become instant and defeats the purpose of deprecation warnings, and the rant starts there. Sorry. Anyway, yes, you're right. I didn't hear this. Thank you for, because the coffee's wearing off. I think I'm done, aren't I, Andy?